This is On the Sidelines with Box 13.
All right, welcome back into another episode of the On the Sidelines podcast. I'm your host, Ethan McReynolds, here as always with our partner in crime, D-Jack Dante Jackson, and our special guest for today, Husky legend, former running back, Terry Hollimon. Terry, thank you so much for joining us.
That word legend is doing a lot of heavy lifting right there, man. I was more legendary on upper campus. We'll talk about that a different time.
Hey, we appreciate you taking the time to talk Seattle sports. I can't imagine a better person to talk Seattle sports with. You're rocking the Sonics, the Sonics garb with us today.
I knew where I was coming, so I dressed appropriately.
Absolutely. Man. Well, we got to start. We got to start with the Seahawks. An impressive game this past week. A shutout. Yeah. A shutout. We'll get to the offense, but I want to give the defense their flowers. Terry, how hard is it to shut out a team in the National Football League?
Dude, it's almost impossible. You almost never see it, right? Because any given Sunday, you're playing against the best of the best of the best. And so it's hard to hold a team to no points. That being said, the Seattle Seahawks defense is pretty doggone good, man. And I said this before the season. These guys had the potential to be the best defense in Seattle since the Legion of Boom, and that's saying a lot. Yeah. And to hold another team in the National Football League to 0 points, that just shows how good they are.
What do you see, Dante?
This team has a different identity. Do you think it's fair to compare them to LOB?
At this point, I think it's unfair to claim any defense in history is the LOB, because you got to think about this. The LOB, they were not just great players. Mm-hmm. These guys all were characters. If you think about them individually, they were different and they had character and they could all be their own entity anywhere else, right? You think about Cam Chancellor, the Dark Knight. That's a character from a novel, right? And then you think about Earl Thomas, his stoic demeanor and the way he was flying around hitting people. And then Richard Sherman, yeah. Everybody was a character. These guys, they just kind of, I don't want to say they're plug and play, but these guys are just a unit that goes out and does their thing.
Well, you could sort of, credit that to, the different styles of coaches that we have, and Pete Carroll, who wants all these guys to sort of embrace who they are and show that, versus Mike McDonald, military background. I'm not saying he's get in line, but he's got these guys playing together for each other, which and it's nothing, no knock on either way of doing things. They obviously both work, but I think a stark difference between the two defense, wouldn't you think?
Oh, 100%. I think, again, you look at Pete Carroll and the way he conducts his business as a coach, as an organization, as a franchise. Again, it's kind of like a hippie, right? But it works, right? It's do you, free living, all that good stuff. And like you said, this is a little bit more regimented. But again, I think what it takes, either way you look at it, is for your guys to buy in to the system. Yes. And if you have guys that don't buy into the system, you're not going to have success. I don't care what your philosophy is, what your scheme is, what your format is. What happened here is the guys bought into what Michael McDonald was putting down day one. Mm-hmm. And he was able to get his type of players into this system. So the system has ultimately worked because the guys bought into it. The guys saw success with it early. And now it's kind of a thing where I'm watching them play, and it's the guys don't want to let each other down, right? Yeah. They want to be part of that system. They want to be part of the standard that's been set. So it's like a win-win thing that keeps on going. A self-fulfilling prophecy that happens every single week. You see these guys flying around, and everybody wants to be part of that.
Yes, and to the credit of the organization, I want to give credit to John Schneider. He gets a lot of criticism, myself included. I'll be the first to yell at him. I yelled at him about being too slow signing Ernest Jones, who I believe is one of the better players on the defense. But this is one of his best moves, hiring Coach Mike McDonald. Him and Pete came in together. Pete kind of brought him in as his guy. Now this is his stamp on the organization. He's in charge now, and hiring Coach McDonald is a master stroke. I love this coach. I love his demeanor. I love the way he teaches. I love the style. I like the way he's humble and quiet. Although I enjoyed a Richard Sherman personality, but I like the way Coach McDonald has this team playing. They're all business. It's business-like, and that's how I would describe this team.
Yeah, you mentioned John Schneider putting his stamp on this franchise, sort of moving on from the Pete Carroll era. How about this offseason of all the change that needed to be done, and then he brings in his first quarterback, his guy, in Sam Darnold, and he's playing some good football. Didn't have his best game against the Vikings. Didn't really need to. But the Seahawks, I would say, aren't 9-3 without Sam Darnold at the helm. Yes. To stick with the defense before we go offense, Ernest Jones coming down this morning, NFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Yes.
Pretty awesome.
Much deserved.
DeMarcus Lawrence had himself an incredible game. I mean, he forces the interception. He's got the forced fumble. Total hustle play. He gets picked out of the play by Aaron Jones, 8 yards downfield, comes rumbling back to just they made it a point of emphasis. They want to force more fumbles. They want to be more aggressive on those tackles and punching the ball. And we've seen that the last few weeks. This defense, that I think has been the missing link, I would say, of the first half of the season. Now they're starting to generate turnovers, which is something that was a huge stamp of that LOB defense as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
And let me add, we all love or hate football cliches, but turnovers come in bunches. That is the truth right there. I mean, you was up to week 7 or 8 without a fumble, and next thing you know, DeMarcus Lawrence gets 2. He took 2 to the house. So it's and now all of a sudden the ball is on the ground all the time for the Seahawks. And mind you, the Seahawks offense too, because Sam Darnold can't hold on to the ball.
Here we go.
But,
we'll talk about that.
But turnovers, I mean, it couldn't be any more true. Turnovers does come in bunches.
So here's what I think, because again, I actually made this prediction before the game. I said that the Seahawks were going to get 3 turnovers because they didn't have any the previous week. They didn't have any interceptions. And my point was that they do come in bunches, especially when you have a defense like the Seattle Seahawks defense, right? Other teams are going to game plan. They watch the tape. Yep. They know what these guys do well. So let's do our best to keep the ball out of harm's way. Let's practice all week our ball security, because we're not going to put the ball on the ground because these guys are coming to get it. So what happens last week, you have a quarterback in J.J. McCarthy who's been having a horrible season, and he turns the ball over like nobody's business. So with the Seahawks going without an interception the previous week and facing a quarterback that was struggling the upcoming week, I was like, this is a perfect recipe for the Seahawks to get some turnovers, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, well, and then, facing the undrafted rookie and Max Brosmer, he didn't. I don't know if he knew what he was doing.
No,
I don't know if he's got a future in the league or not.
The Hail Mary or whatever, the failed Mary to DeMarcus Lawrence on his arm, all the way to Ernest Jones taking it back for 85 yards.
That before you finish, I just got to say that, by the way, is going to be an image that lives forever in NFL history, right? Not just Seahawks history, not just Vikings history, but in NFL, because like this.
And Ernest Jones just strided out, man. I mean, you couldn't even. He looked like he was running track in the Olympics. He just strided out for 85 yards. You love to see it. And now he's, I believe, top 5 in the league in interceptions as a linebacker with 5. So he's doing a job. That was a great signing by John Schneider. So the makeup of this team, the roster, I love everything about it. And we talk about, you said 4 snaps. Hawk Blogger said it famously. 4 snaps did this complete defense have played together, right?
Yeah.
4 snaps. And Julian Love is still trying to fight his way back. And I'm sure he's doing just that, fighting his way back, because you see toe tap Ty right there. And that boy, he out there hitting, and I love it. I love it. I love how physical he is. He's flying to the ball. And your guy Drake Thomas, also 2 guys that I discounted. I said, I don't know about these guys. And these guys showed me up because they out there. They're physical. They're flying to the ball. And I love Drake Thomas along with Ty Okada. I would say they playing Pro Bowl caliber ball.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, and Jaron Reed has missed the last 4 games, and this defensive front hasn't missed a beat. Terry, there's been a sort of debate going around Seattle media. Is this the best defensive front or best defensive line the Seahawks have ever had? I mean, you go back to the LOB, that secondary is unmatched.
Yeah.
That defensive front was pretty good too.
They were.
With the linebackers, it's sort of hard, but defensive line. I mean, the amount of pressure that these guys are getting this season, just rushing 4, and they can just sort of sit back in coverage. I mean, it's unprecedented. I feel. I don't know if that LOB defensive line was as dominant as these guys have been this season.
I think they were dominant in a different kind of way. Let me just put a pause in this and put an asterisk by this, because as a group of 4 defensive linemen, I would say these guys are right near the top. But then the asterisk is Cortez Kennedy. Cortez Kennedy was he makes up for 4 players. Yeah. He's the greatest defensive lineman ever. So that being said, let's go back to the LOB defensive line. You're talking about Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett, even Red Bryant was there for a little while. Yep. I mean, those guys. Chris Clemens was there. They were pretty good. We're talking about Brandon Mebane. You're talking about a couple of guys on that defense that were right now rated the top 50 Seahawks of all time when you're talking about Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett. I'm sure there's somebody else in there, but that was pretty good. These guys, I think they're on their way up there. I think that Byron Murphy Jr. is going to be one of the great defensive linemen in NFL history. Not just Seahawks history, but NFL.
Wow.
You heard it here.
That's some high praise.
You heard it here.
Because
yeah. He's good. He's in his second year, and he's already he's shining out there.
Yes. And you can see the growth from year 1 to year 2. You can see how he's sort of taken all the wealth of knowledge that Mike McDonald's thrown at him and just how he's just like transforming, because he's not only a run stopper that can just absorb a double team. He's getting after the quarterback now. Yes. His pass rushing numbers have been absolutely incredible. I mean, last season he's not even in on pass rush downs. Now he's one of your more productive guys, and Leonard Williams is doing a lot of the dirty work, which that needs to go. We got to praise that a little bit, because I think he's getting snubbed a little bit in the Pro Bowl voting because it's not really showing up in the box score. But Byron Murphy is benefiting from it. It's not from his lack of, he's in the right place at the right time as well and winning his matchups.
And you mentioned the Pro Bowl. You have 15 Seahawks in the top 10 in Pro Bowl voting, and I think it's deserved.
Absolutely.
I mean, because when you think about it, Ernest Jones, he better be the middle linebacker in any Pro Bowl. But then again, I don't even want to argue the point about a Pro Bowl, because guess what? We're going to be in the Super Bowl, right? Right? And yes, we are now, right?
We're part of the Seahawks right now. We are. I want to say this before you get off the subject, because I think we can't emphasize this enough, how much of an impact Leonard Williams has on that defense. I've heard it a long time ago from one of the greats, one of my partners, Marcus Trufant, said the best defensive secondary coverage is a sack. Yep. So that's one thing. But Leonard Williams makes everyone around him look better, because first of all, you can't block the guy. He's unblockable. You got to block him with 2 guys, right? Yeah. So again, that allows Byron Murphy to do some of the things he does, but even more importantly, it allows Ernest Jones to do exactly what he does and what he was brought here to do. He's a linebacker that flies around and can move side to side and is quick and is very athletic. And so Leonard Williams keeps blockers off of him and allows him to go make plays.
Yes, and that's a man. That's a grown man. Leonard Williams, I see him just throwing people around, picking them up, throwing them down, and so is Ernest Jones. Like I said weeks ago, when he tackles you, you stop. There's no yardage leak. You're not getting 2 or 3 after he hits you. You're going the other way. And, the Knight, I'm sorry, I forget his name. Tyrese Knight had a game when he forced those 2 fumbles. And I'm thinking like, oh, man, Tyrese Knight looks good. Maybe Ernest Jones need to let that knee heal up. Yeah. Ernest Jones fought his way back in that lineup and said, hold my beer. All right? And went ahead and had a game. And, he's the heartbeat, the quarterback of that defense. I love this defense. I even like the secondary as it is right now. And you still got the prospect of Julian Love, a Pro Bowl safety coming back. I love the way Kobe Bryant has grown into his role. I never saw that coming, that he would be the safety he is. You talking about somebody flying around. Kobe Bryant also has to get some credit, and much maligned, and he's heavily criticized. But I think Tariq Woolen is having a Pro Bowl season. I think it was an OPI that sent him into a tailspin. That catch up the sideline against the San Francisco Pearsall pushed him off. The same thing JSN did. I think that is OPI and must be called.
That's crafty.
All right?
I feel like that's crafty.
I'm just saying. It sent him into a tailspin, and then he started hearing all the talk. Yeah. Changed his name back to Tariq. Hey, I was calling for that last year.
We got to do a stats before and after.
This is not just a sports show. This is a psychology show. This is our new psych.
It's all about it.
D-Jack is our new psychologist here in-house.
Listen, he had 2 bad games. He changed his name back to Tariq. Before the season started, I said, hey, the only time you played well is when you was Tariq. You changed your name to Tariq. Downhill since, all right? He went back to Tariq. He's playing Pro Bowl ball.
He was trying to get.
What more can I say?
He was trying to get some sponsorship deals. When you switch your name to Reek, Reek looks better, like on the side of a soft drink can or something, right?
You got to ball out first, though. You got to keep the main thing the main thing.
Right. I got a question though before we jump again. This is again, we're gonna get controversial here on your show, right? On the sidelines, controversy question of the week.
All right.
Okay. This
New
defense,
segment.
you ready?
Yeah.
This defense has been playing so lights out so far this season without Julian Love for the majority of the time. Do you put him in if he comes back and he's healthy, ready for the playoffs?
I think absolutely, because they're not going to bring him back unless he's 100% healthy. I mean, that's the reason he went on injured reserve, was to make sure this hamstring, which very finicky injury, and we talk a lot about soccer and the Sounders in this show and covering a lot of those injuries. It's a finicky injury. So if he's back, if he's healthy and active, he's 100% and he's playing, because I don't think they're making him active and bringing him back if he's not.
No, I don't mean just for the fact that we want to make sure he's not injured.
Sure, but
there's been continuity in this defense.
Ty Okada.
Okada's been playing incredible ball. Do you sit him on the sideline and mess up that continuity and put this guy in who hasn't had a lot of gameplay?
I think it's a good question. I think with how much of a leader Julian Love is on the back end of that defense, I think they can get better putting him in there. And I mean, when Drake Thomas and Tyrese Knight, who's the better player between those two? I think we're seeing more from Tyrese Knight when he's been right and healthy. You're nothing against Drake Thomas. It's a great problem to have with the depth on this team. So I feel like it's a similar situation with Ty Okada. You're getting great play from him, but Okada has a ceiling that I feel like Julian Love can eclipse, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think you don't take Ty off the field. Now, you sprinkle in Julian Love for sure. I think he should get on the field, but you don't break that up. And I don't think it's about continuity. It's about play. If you're Mike McDonald and you saying it's a competition every week, Ty has done nothing to discern his spot on the roster. I mean, he got a name now. He toe touch Ty. So, I mean, he's getting the tackles. He got the interceptions, the turnovers. I mean, he put his own player, Job, out for 2 weeks. He out there hitting anything.
He just reckless.
Yeah.
If you moving, you getting hit.
And I love it because this team needs that attitude. And I'm going to speak to last week. You saw Emmanuel have that attitude. Justin Jefferson, 2 catches for 4 yards. Emmanuel picks him up and suplexes him for no reason. And I'm like, why did you? Yes.
That's why
I go from questioning it to loving it, because I love the attitude, the physicality that this team putting on tape. So when you go and watch Seahawks tape, you're going to come out. Look at the 49ers. They haven't been the same since the first game of the season. I mean, they continue. The Commanders, you can go down the list of bodies they done put on the gurney, in the tent. You can put it, they got a list, a paper long. This is a physical team, and I love Okada in that position. Now, Julian Love, I love him. They say he's a smart player. He's one of the leaders on the back end. But right now, Okada is hitting, and I love it.
Yep.
Are you sticking with Ty, Terry?
I'm gonna remain silent. I don't want these.
Let us speak.
I want y'all to. Yeah, y'all gotta deal with that.
I don't care. I don't go to the VMAX.
I live out here. I might see one of them. Something. Hey, what you say? I saw you on the sideline, man. What's happening? I don't want no problems.
Hey, listen. You can't take Okada out right now. I just don't. I mean, the way he hitting, the way he's flying around, and then now him and Kobe Bryant has a chemistry, because Kobe is backing him up, and I haven't seen, knock on wood, I haven't seen them get beat over the top all season. Yeah. I haven't seen the coverage problems.
Yeah, the explosive plays have been severely limited.
So what is it then? Of course, he's a leader and you're paying him. That's where money might come in. So he's going to get some time. But Ty has earned his spot. Yep. So I think you mix and match those two. And like you said earlier, Ethan, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it allows you the opportunity to work Julian back slowly and sort of put him on a pitch count.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a perfect mix, yes.
Yeah. So, for me, I think Mike had said Julian's one of the best communicators they have in the secondary, and that is the foundation of this defense. So that's where I lie. We've gotten 20 minutes in. We haven't even talked about the offense yet, which I would really like to talk about. Sam Darnold did not have his best game. You had the 2 strip sacks. They lost one of the fumbles. Turnovers have been a problem throughout this season. What's our confidence meter in Sam? They've got 4 really tough games to end the schedule after Atlanta this upcoming week. You got Indy at home, who's a much better team than we thought they were going to be. You got the Rams. I mean, that's the marquee matchup. The Panthers just beat the Rams, and then you got the Niners. Yeah. I mean, that is a gauntlet to end the season where you knew the Rams and Niners were going to be tough games, but now the Panthers and Colts, those are not easy cookies. I mean, how are we feeling about Sam? You know, there's this whole narrative about Sam in big games. Is that a concern?
So for me, when the season started and they brought in Sam and there was this big controversy, you know, a lot of the Seahawks fans were like, why are we bringing this guy in? We know that he, you know, falls apart. He's not everything that everybody thinks he is. But I was the guy that said, hey, listen, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I've seen him compete at an elite level, at a very high level when he was at Minnesota. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He came in here and his first several games was out of the water. Like, he was incredible, like on an MVP type tear. Then it kind of fell apart. And this is my theory, ladies and gentlemen, of what happened. It didn't start to fall apart for Sam until he lost his center. His center got hurt, and then he lost Gray Zabel. And then there started to be some mix-ups along the front line up front. And you guys know, historically in Seattle, we've had a problem with the offensive line, and we thought we fixed that at the beginning of the year, drafting Gray and then putting some pieces together in there. And then all of a sudden, things start falling apart up front. I think he gets a little nervous, and rightfully so. You saw last week, they was on him, like 4 sacks, but not just 4 sacks. Yeah. There was somebody in his face, free running. Like, and there was, but you could see them in slow motion, a lot of mix-up on the offensive line where guys were just coming unblocked. Yes. And I think Sam doesn't like that. He's not. There's some quarterbacks who thrive in those. Nobody loves it, but there are some quarterbacks that thrive in those situations, right? And those are usually guys that can run and athletic and make plays happen. Sam wants to sit in the pocket and make things happen. So I feel good if we could solidify some things up front. I think he absolutely has the talent. I think he's a skilled enough quarterback to take the Seahawks deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I've been saying it for 10 weeks. Use your legs, Sam. He is an athletic quarterback. He does have the ability to run. I would love to see him take off more just to get the respect of that other defense and slow down that pass rush. Then you can go and fall back into the pocket. That's the game I want Sam Darnold to play. But you talk about confidence level. I feel very confident in Sam. Why? Because Mike Macdonald has taken the air out of the ball, and now he's playing to the strong side of his team, which is the defense. And that's what happened last week. We want to say Sam didn't do a good job. No, Mike Macdonald did a great job. That was the point right there. You didn't need Sam taking all those chances. You didn't need him throwing 30 times. You didn't need those things from Sam because the defense was lights out. And so he's playing to the strength of his team. You are seeing a top 5 coach mature right before our very own eyes right now. I think the Seahawks got him one, and as long as he'll be here, I mean, he can punch his own ticket. Mike Macdonald is that guy. It's not about Sam Darnold. It's about the coach and the demeanor and the team, and the strength of the team is the defense.
Yeah, you know, this Vikings game was interesting when evaluating the offense because, they didn't have to do a whole lot in the second half. That first half, the blitz packages that Brian Flores was sending out, it was giving him fits. I mean, Terry, you talked about the offensive line, the communication. Yeah. I mean, it's tough because you line up with 8 dudes on the line of scrimmage. You don't know who's coming, right? So as far as where you're shifting protection and giving protection assignments to your running back and everything, I mean, they have no idea who's coming. I like the adjustments that they made in the second half. I felt like they got rid of the ball a lot quicker. And they didn't have to do very much. They played more vanilla and didn't have to take many chances.
Yeah, but why take the chance when your defense is scoring now?
But so
also
there's that part.
my question is the blueprint out on how to slow down this Seahawks defense? The Rams sent a lot of pressure and got into Sam's face, and you saw he didn't want to get sacked.
Right.
I mean, those 9 sacks from that wild card game last season were in his head, and he was getting rid of the ball, and he was making bad decisions of where he was throwing it and threw the 4 picks. Now you see, the Vikings send a lot of pressure. He's running for his life, and internal clock maybe not on the two strip sacks. So is the blueprint out? How do you adjust from that?
Here's the thing: you can have the perfect blueprint, the ultimate design on how to stop these guys. You can have it laid out, dialed in. Here's the thing: you have to do it. You got to do it. You got to execute that blueprint. Right. See what these guys did, and last week was a great example of it. These guys, they had the blueprint on them, right? So guess what they do? I'm going to turn around and hand the ball off to Zach Charbonnet. I'm going to turn it off and hand it off to K9. And guess what they do? They go for over 100, like 120 yards combined, right? They slowed the game down, slowed the clock down, drive, grind, put the weight on the opposing defense. These guys are tired, tuckered out, beat up. They don't want to play anymore by the third quarter because we've been on the field more than half the game, and my defense is over there smacking their offense around and keeping them out of the end zone. So if my defense can hold a team to 0 points, all we got to do is drive the ball down the field and score a field goal. So, again, if you have the blueprint, execute it. If you can stop our receivers, which, they did a good job of, they created like a cloud coverage over JSN where they had some guy underneath, some guy over top. They're going to take away our weapon. That was their idea, I think, that they said, we're not going to let JSN and Sam Darnold beat us. So that was the blueprint. But now you got to stop our running.
Right. And talking about the running game, I had a question for you, burning. I mean, it's about that position. They're splitting those carries and stuff as a running back. Yourself. What do you want? And speaking from your perspective, do you want those 20 carries to get into a rhythm? Do you want to split to save your legs? I mean, what's the mentality? Because right now we both feel like Kenneth Walker should get a little bit more touches. I say 20 touches, not 20 carries. It doesn't have to be carries, but I think he needs to at least hit 20 touches simply because he's one of your better game breakers at the running back position or on the team, period. But they have Zach Charbonnet, who I think is a good player also. As a running back yourself, what's the mentality? Do you want those carries 20 and you want to be that bell cow, or are you good with splitting the carries, say with a player that's not too far behind on the talent level?
So when I'm looking at a running back, I want a running back that got the dog in him, right? And when I say you got the dog in it, that means I want the ball every play. Like when I'm playing running back from the time I was in Little League all the way through college, if I'm in the game, I want the ball every play. Okay, that's me as a dog thinking. But me as a rational, grown man looking at my career and know how my body feels after I get the ball every play, I can handle 20 carries. I'm good at that, right? So I think probably these guys, each one of them, would be happy, toting the load, being the guy. But I think realistically, looking at, the longevity of their careers and the longevity of this team as they race towards the playoffs, it's a good idea to kind of split them up. It's a great idea to utilize them in different scenarios and situations that utilize their strengths. So I don't have a problem with it.
Do you feel like K9's durability sort of plays into their hesitancy to turn him into that bell cow?
100%. You look back at his career since he's been here, the guy, to me, and I've said this from the first year that I saw him playing, this guy is an elite type runner.
Yes.
Right? But he never able to complete an entire season because of the injury situation. And again, you're looking at a running back in the NFL. Most running backs don't make it to the end of the season without some kind of nagging injury. Right. That being said, again, you want to look at the wear and tear that's on those legs and how much run are we going to get out of these guys. So I would still like to see them breaking it up, putting them in situations that they both excel in. I think Charbonnet obviously is a downhill guy that gets the ball and is trying to go north and south, and he's going to punish guys. And I think, to me, Kenneth Walker, when I see him, at least, especially in the last few weeks, I said something that's clicked in him where he feels like I can score anytime I touch the ball. Mm-hmm. I feel like, and that's the runner I want as my main guy.
Yes, and I could see him running harder. We talked about it last week, and I love the way they have incorporated him into the passing game now. I think he caught 3 passes against the Vikings. I would like to see that up to 5 at least. Like I said, I think the 20-touch mark for Ken Walker is kind of that focal point that they should want, because you're going to get production out of him, and then he needs to get in the end zone. But I wanted to talk about the wide receivers also. They shut JSN down, and Shaheed, the new acquisition, was supposed to be the elixir, I guess, to them not stopping, Sam Darnold and JSN. He's been disappointing so far. I actually feel better about Torrey Horton and the promise that he showed. So hopefully they can get Torrey Horton back, because I think he's the one that can unlock this offense so they won't be able to cloud cover JSN and shut him down like they did. Because if it's one thing that was alarming out of that Vikings game, although they shut him down, was the way that they did shut down JSN. I don't like to see that.
Yeah, it's funny. You talk about JSN, he had 25 yards receiving. He's still leading the league in receiving by
Right.
180, 190
Right.
yards.
Right.
Just
Still
shows you how
number
dominant
one.
He's
Still
been
number
this
one.
entire league.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting, and that's part of the blueprint that I'm interested in. You play that cloud cover or, whatever they did against JSN, and then you also get Sam Darnold off his spot. These longer developing routes to JSN, not really as much of an option anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see how Clint Kubiak, Sam Darnold, and everybody adjusts going forward. I mean, the Colts and the Rams are not far in the schedule. Before we move on to the Huskies, let's look ahead to this Falcons game. How do you see it going? This is a game that the Seahawks should win. How do you see it playing out?
Again, I think it's a game that they should win. And like I always say to anybody who ever asks me, though, it's the NFL. Mm-hmm. It's any given Sunday, anything could happen. Literally anything could happen. When you watched the Rams lose last week to the Panthers, you didn't think that was ever going to happen. That being said, I can't foresee a situation where the Seahawks lose to the Falcons. The one caveat to that is if they are unable to put the clamps on Bijan Robinson, it could be a long day. This guy is incredible. Last week he had like 193 all-purpose yards, and he's a guy, again, that can break it at any given day, any given play. So they're going to have to do a great job up front putting the clamps on that guy. Outside of that, they got Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
They got Kirk Cousins leading, no diss, Kirk.
Hey, don't laugh.
I know.
Captain Kirk, he's serviceable, all right?
Serviceable.
Beat me up, Scotty, all right? Captain Kirk is serviceable. I actually think, the Seahawks, they've been workmanlike on the road, and that's the one thing that Mike McDonald, the attitude he's brought, is no excuses when they go on the road. I expect them to go on the road and boat race the Atlanta Falcons, but they do have players. Those players are on scholarship too, and they have a defense that actually gets after the quarterback.
Yep.
So if Sam Darnold is not careful with that ball and protect that ball, this can be a long day for the Seahawks. I don't expect that to happen, but that can happen, and they have playmakers. Their top wide receiver, Drake London, he's out right now, but they still have a passing game. And Captain Kirk, he's done
it. He's done it. He's done it. He can win.
He's able.
He's better than Max Brose.
Yeah, so,
there's that.
And he's probably a little bit more knowledgeable than, say, Michael Penix Jr., as far as being a veteran quarterback and where to go with the ball, because, Penix was young and he was still learning. So I don't know. I think you'd rather see a Penix than a Captain Kirk. So I'm not going to discount or overlook the Falcons because, like you said, any given Sunday, but I do expect the Seahawks to go on the road like they have been all season, even pick up to the last season, and handle the Atlanta Falcons.
And one thing I will add, I know Atlanta is a very tough place to play. Mm-hmm. You got to travel 3 hours to get there, and then the fan base is usually pretty raucous, very, very supportive. But who knows? Since looking at their record, the fan base might be out there with paper bags over their heads.
They just lost to the New York Jets. So there's not a lot of teams losing to the Jets.
There's that.
I mean, yeah. Bijan, you got to shut him down, and we talked about how awesome this defensive front is, this defensive line generating pressure. The Falcons have more sacks than the Seahawks do this season, so they can get after the quarterback too. Maybe a new right guard this week, potentially.
Ooh.
We'll see. Mike McDonald said that it's an option. That's not me starting controvery. So it's gonna be interesting. That spot.
I hate to be out here talking about people. I'm always, if anybody who's known me and followed me through my career in the media out here in Seattle, I've always been a player advocate. I've always been on the player side in most situations, unless they do something silly and out and whatever. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it. That right guard position, I see them out there like he was like Gilligan sometimes out there by himself. Like, who are you blocking right now? There's nobody there. What the play? What? So yeah, they're going to do something. They got to do something.
I mean, why not go and see what you have in Christian Haynes, 3rd round pick from last season, and then Jalen Sundell is back next week. He's one of your best 5. Get him in at right guard. That seems like the obvious solution.
It's funny that's what you said, and that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Sundell will be the right guard, and
Olu's been great.
Oluwatimi will stay at center. That is exactly what I feel is going to happen soon as Sundell is off of IR. So that'll happen real soon. Be on the lookout for that. Sundell will be that right guard, and Oluwatimi will continue to be that center.
They could put Cooper Kupp there, and it'd be an improvement. It'd be an improvement.
On that, let's transition. Let's end it.
AB, we love you.
Let's go to Terry. Let's go to your old school, the Washington Huskies.
Yeah.
Year 2 under Jedd Fisch, a 2-win improvement, 8-4. How'd you feel about the season? Would you consider this a successful year for the Washington Huskies?
I say all in all, it's a successful year. Coming off, a season like they had last year with the first-year head coach, a lot of first-year players, a lot of young guys getting in there doing their thing, and then to come to year 2 and be at a situation where they are right now with the number of wins they have, I feel good about that. That being said, I think there were still some left on the table with these guys.
Yes,
I think there were games that they could have and should have won that they lost. Then some games that they should have been more competitive in that they weren't as competitive as I thought they should have been. I'm talking about the Ohio State game. I think they could have been more competitive in that game. I think they just kind of fell apart. Michigan is a game that they should have won. Oregon was a game they could have been more competitive in. And when I say more competitive, I'm never been the kind of guy that's about moral victories.
Right.
I want real W's, right? Yeah. But if we're looking at like the moral victories situations here, I think that even in Ohio State game, if you get in a situation where you're more competitive early, that again builds confidence in your team that we can play with these guys rather than let this game.
Believe.
Yeah, you just let this game. Yeah, you believe. You can believe I can play with these guys. This is the same game I've been playing since I was 5 years old. Yeah. These guys are no different than guys I played against, and I've been playing against these guys forever. I can play them. Yeah. But when you start doing dumb things like they did the dumb fake field goal, and I think that was the nail in the coffin against Ohio State. And then after that, it was just a steamroll situation.
Yes,
right?
And they got walked down. And the same thing with Oregon, the defense playing their heart out. They supposed to have been in that game a lot. Like I thought they could have won it. I watched the complete game. The defense gave them a performance. Now, Jedd Fisch, you supposed to be an offensive genius or offensive coach. I understand Damon Williams is a young quarterback. I understand you have some young players. I would have loved to see the offense show up against Oregon and see what a full, complete team effort. Muhammad running his tail off, okay? You got the ball to Boston a couple of times. But Williams in the big game, and I understand he's a young quarterback, and I still love the guy. I think he'll grow into his role, but in the big games, he just hasn't showed up. I think that's a reflection of the coach. All right, you need to sit him down and run through some plays because you had Muhammad coming out of the backfield. They couldn't stop him. Why go down the field with Damon Williams trying to throw it down the field 3 times? It was just I was disappointed more in the game plan and Jedd Fisch than the players in this Oregon game. I feel like the Huskies could have won this game.
I feel like he was standing right beside me for this entire game because that was my exact feeling. Yeah. I'm looking, again, maybe I'm a little biased because I'm a running back, but I'm not. I'm just going to keep it real. I look at this kid, Adam Muhammad, and he was unstoppable.
Right.
He was popping off 6-7 yards per carry. My theory, and it goes back to since I was a kid, until they stop it, keep doing it, right? There's no reason for me to drop back and do these deep down the field passes when I'm getting 7-8 yard chunks at a time just by handing it off, right? And so back in the day, and I'm dating myself here. I'm gonna give you guys some old analogies here. One of my greatest football coaches of all time told me, when you throw the ball, there are 3 things that can happen. 2 of them are bad. Don't play the odds, right? If we're winning running the ball, run the ball. That being said, again, back to our guy, Williams, Damon Williams, I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's going to be phenomenal. He holds the ball too long. He holds the ball far too long, and I think that's a result of him being able to do that his entire life. Like his entire life, he was the best athlete on the field, and he could just.
He still is the best. He's
He's probably the best athlete on the field, but there are like 11 other guys over there that are the best athletes from wherever they come from.
Especially at Oregon.
Oh yeah,
best players money can buy right there. All right?
Uncle Phil kicking in.
Yeah, let's call it what it is, and that's a great point that. NIL and Damon Williams, and you got Muhammad. Will the Huskies be able to hold on to these players? Because teams are poaching other players, and if I'm looking at a Damon Williams and I'm Lane Kiffin at LSU, I'm Birdman hand rub. I'm licking my chops. I'm getting ready to make my pitch to him, Muhammad, and whoever else. Roebuck, I love him. So can the Huskies hold on? And it shouldn't be a problem in Washington State, Seattle especially. I mean, it should be enough money here, but it is a problem. Can the Huskies hold on to their players?
And here's where we pivot in the show. Right? No, here's the thing. In theory, we should be able to. I think per capita, there's not a place in America that has more money than Seattle, Washington. You think about it. The wealthiest people in America live right here, and they're from right here, and the businesses are right here in our backyard. You talking about NIL deals. What do we have? Microsoft is here. Do you get bigger than that? We have Amazon here. Does it get bigger than that? You think Boeing is here. It doesn't get bigger than that. Everything you could think of in the tech world, from everything you could think of is right here. But the challenge is, and this is coming from a kid who grew up down south, right? I played high school football in Texas. Texas football is king. Football is probably maybe 5th or 6th on the list here in Seattle, right, of things of importance. And that's unfortunate because we do, I say that to say this, we do, our fan base, they're diehards. They love the game. They'll beat their rain, sleet, snow, shine, whatever, right? But when it comes to people that are willing to pump money into this thing, we can't compete with Alabama. We can't compete with LSU. We can't compete with Ohio State because that's where football is king.
So with that, do you think this program is headed in the right direction under Jedd Fisch? Is it? I mean, with Damon Williams, is he a guy that can win you a national championship, get you to a playoff?
I think athletically and potentially, absolutely.
Because he still needs to grow as a quarterback.
Oh yeah,
he got
again,
room to grow.
he has
This is his first year as a starter. So.
Last year we saw him in spot play, and last year he started the final game of the season. This was his first season running the show, and I think you look at anybody that's in their first year running the show, they're going to have growing pains, and so especially you think about some of the things that are his negatives, his cons that he has to work on. He'll have an opportunity to do that this offseason. He'll be able to go back and look at the film. He'll be able to work with the coaches, and he'll be able to be like, okay, this is one of the things that I can do better, and focus on that and concentrate on that now that he's had live rounds flying at him.
Yeah, and, I always say I think the Huskies left some meat on the bone there. You're talking about Wisconsin and some of those losses and playing better in some of those bigger games, and I think it can be directly attributed to the coach, Jedd Fisch, flirting with other teams. And you're not going to tell me when all the rumors and the murmurs were out about him going to Florida and they go and lay an egg against Wisconsin, you're not going to tell me their team didn't hear that. And I just want the crowd, I want the people, the subscribers, and the fans out there to know, they hear you, fans, all right? Look what happened with the Mariners when you demanded a winner. They got their butt in gear, and we went further than they ever have before. Seahawks the same way. If you speak and you know what you're talking about, they do hear you. And so going back to Jedd Fisch, I think he needs to make it clear that he wants to be here. He wants to be here for a long period of time. I understand you can go to other jobs and they have better jobs, but at the same time, I think that hurt the Huskies this year where the players kind of like fell off towards the end of the season. What happened to Jonah Coleman? I know he was hurt or dinged up. He was on an arc to be a Heisman candidate.
Yes, he was.
And all of a sudden, he just fell off a cliff. And Denzel Boston was the same way, and I know he was hurt also. So I think with the combination of Williams and Roebuck, who I love, I think those two, along with Muhammad, if you can keep those three, you have a big three, I think things are looking up for Husky football.
Won a pretty good recruiting class coming in as well. Early signing day today. You already got a 5-star. You got a couple, the highest running back recruit they've ever gotten out of California, top 5 guy in the state. So it seems like things are looking up for the Husky program. You mentioned the coaching carousel and Jedd Fisch looking at Florida. You mentioned Lane Kiffin. I mean, Terry, I gotta get.
It's another pivot.
I gotta get your thoughts because this is one of the more fascinating stories in all of sports. You've got Lane Kiffin coaching an Ole Miss team who is number 6 in the college football playoff rankings and is going to have an opportunity to go and win a national championship in the new year. He decides to jump ship, leave, go to LSU, a blue blood program, right? Dream job. But to give up the opportunity to win a national championship, isn't that what it's all about? Yeah. isn't it all about winning a national title with the guys that you put your blood, sweat, and tears into and develop and from all the 2 days and in the offseason and everything? Isn't that what it's all about? Is going and winning the national championship? One of the hardest things to do in all of sports is win a natty in college football. A little bit easier now with the playoff, but you're in the play. You're 11-1, number 6 in the play, and you decide to leave. What do you think about that?
That's what it used to be all about. When I was playing, that's what it was all about. You start off the beginning of two-a-days. Actually, really, you start off the last day of the season. You wake up the next morning, and it's all about, which is day one, heading towards the national championship. And everything we do from this day forward after the end of the last game is to go to the national championship. I don't care what team you play for. You can play for the bottom team in the country. Your goal is that, right?
Every team starts 0-0, right?
Exactly. That's our goal. That being said, we're in a whole different world right now. We're in the wild, wild west when it comes to college football. And just me personally, just because of the person I am, the beliefs that I have, the morals and the goal, I don't want to say anybody's morally bankrupt because of their decisions, but to leave your team after you came there and you were able to accomplish so much with these young men. You were the leader and mentor and guide to these young men, not just on the field, but in life, in every single way. You are that person. And you take them to a place where they are now able to compete for a national championship. And not only are you out there looking for another job, you are taking another job right before the playoffs. I mean, to me, that is the most insane thing ever on both parties, from both parties. I think, even if you wanted to make this happen, maybe you'll be a little bit more clandestine. And maybe you say, okay, we'll wait to do this until after the season's over. This is our plan. Everybody's good. We'll keep these contracts. We'll keep them here and quiet and hushed. And when the season's over, you guys do your run, and then you come over.
But do you keep Lane Kiffin in-house and give him the opportunity to pitch LSU to all of his players because they know he's leaving? I mean, it's like it's an impossible situation, right?
But before that happens, right? That's why I said you got to keep it to your chest, like until it's all said and done. Because now these kids are at 11-1, and they don't have a coach. Do they even have a coaching staff? Like, how do you go into the playoffs without the person who led you there?
Well, I think Lane Kiffin's saying it all with his actions. First of all, money talks. All right, that's it. That's the answer right there. But also, he's self-aware. I always say self-awareness is a skill.
Skynet has become self-aware.
They not Ole Miss. They're a good story, good team. They're not winning no natty, y'all. All right, that's what Lane Kiffin is telling you by jumping ship. They're not winning. Do they have a chance? Yes.
But what is LSU doing?
Yes.
Is this a question of now or later? Is that what's the story?
Right. I think in LSU, you setting the foundation. You can win next year. You can be in a natty next year if you're LSU. Ole Miss will fall off the face of the earth next year. I mean, it will happen quickly. But I know we're running out of time. I wanted to ask. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ethan. I'm sorry.
No. You go for it.
No. Let me talk because I got to ask you this real quick because my feelings are hurt behind this. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because we got done the same way. With our coach when DeBoer left and went to Alabama, we were caught off guard by it. So this is what my point is to go with what you're saying. So he leaves now for a better future opportunity at LSU, even though he's built something incredible at Ole Miss. DeBoer did the same thing here. He built an incredible thing and then bounced to Alabama. Who's to say what you did right where you're at is not the catalyst to turn that program into something for the next decade?
Right.
Like now people are like, oh, I'm a 5-star recruit. I want to go see what's going on at Ole Miss.
Look at what Gonzaga built in college basketball. I mean, if it was, go back to 1997 before Mark Few built what he did and you put that into this current era, it would never be built. That doesn't mean to say that it's not possible. I mean, yeah, you're right. Winning a national title at a school like Ole Miss, Ole Miss is not Gonzaga. They have a lot more resources than that. But to win a national championship Ole Miss over in Alabama, over in Ohio State, that's an incredible accomplishment that I don't know if we'll ever see in college sports because of situations like this. But isn't that sort of story the beauty of college sports? We've just completely lost the plot with college sports as a whole, and I think this story is. I hope it's the climax, and I hope it's the push for change in the future.
Money talks. I mean, but and I know we're up against time. I remembered my question finally, and I'm going to switch the subject completely, the Pac-12. Do you think the Huskies regret or should regret pulling from the Pac-12, being treated like a stepbrother in the Big Ten, and now it looks like the Pac-12 is alive and ready to thrive? You would be the Alabama, for lack of a better term, in this Pac-12. You would be the school with the most money in this iteration of the Pac-12. In the Big Ten, they ain't going to see money for 10 years.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but here's the question now. Are we talking about money? Are we talking about performance on the field? Are we talking about prestige? What are we talking about?
Well, it's all about a natty, right?
All of it.
It's
all
of
them.
Chances to win a national championship.
Right. Here's the thing. So if UW stays in that situation, and again, hindsight is 20/20. At the moment, nobody knew what this Pac-12 was going to look like. Nobody understood what the entire scenery of college football was like. We just knew that we lost USC, Oregon, UCLA, and we're left here. So what is our conference even going to look like, right?
But you would be big dogs.
But who wants to be the big dog in the little dog house?
Gonzaga.
But see, Gonzaga maybe that's basketball. It's a different story, different situation. Again, so look, if we're looking at the Pac-12, who would be considered in the Pac-12? I don't even know who the Pac-12 is right now. Right? Right now, the Pac-12 is the Pac-2 still, right? But even
next year you got Boise State, San
all
Diego
the
State, UNLV, Colorado State.
So let's do this. Let's take
a lot of really good basketball schools, but football, it's gonna be interesting.
Let's take this fictitious scenario in our head now. Let's go back to like maybe 10 years ago, and let's think about those schools and UW being in the Pac-10 or the Pac-12. Would you ever be like, oh, Boise State or Colorado State should be mentioned up there with the best teams in the country, or they're going to have a shot at a national championship this year if they go 10-1? That's not a real scenario, right? Nobody thought about that. But if you're 10-1 or 10-2 and you're in the Big Ten, oh yeah, you're in a conversation now because that's a different thing.
You're at the top of that conversation.
Absolutely.
Because you get shots to play the top team in the nation in Ohio State. Indiana's up there. Oregon's up there. So, yeah, it's interesting. But, I don't know how the money all breaks down, but that is part of the conversation because the more resources you have in this day and age, the better chance you have at a natty to go and get players. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So no regret?
So here's, again, it's like this, right? I call it the blessing and the curse is because I was the guy that was like, man, I hate this because I'm a traditionalist. I want to play the Cougars every year in the Apple Cup. I want to fly down to L.A. every year and play in the Coliseum. I want to have our Oregon thing be our coastal thing and our coastal rivalry. I wanted all those things to maintain its integrity. Now it's about our big game. We can't wait to play Ohio State, and that's just weird to me because this is why we waited for all year to play guys like that in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I think it's more. It sucks that decision had to be made in the first place. That's sort of how I feel about it, and that's how I feel about college sports, which sort of turns me off to it. But hey, the world keeps spinning.
Where we live, right?
The world keeps spinning. Terry, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Any work that you want to promote? What have you been working on?
I've been working on me. I've been going to therapy. No, man, I've just been doing
all
my
the
thing.
socials.
Yeah, sure. I've been doing a lot of, I'm working, freelancing and doing my thing. But you can follow me at Terry Hollimon on everything. HOLLIMON. That's it. T Holla.
Yes, T Holla. Thank
you. Appreciate it.
Terry,
Terry, thank you so much. For D-Dak, Dante Jackson, I'm Ethan McReynolds. We'll see you next time on The Sidelines.
Let's go!
On the Sidelines is available wherever you get your podcast.